Welcome to the Coffee with Karen podcast, a weekly chat show discussing everything from holistic health to current affairs from a mental, physical and spiritual perspective. Get your weekly cup of positivity with a sprinkling of woo-woo.
Show. Today is Monday. This is going out on Mintwave Radio. You can ask Alexa or go to the website / so that's KarenRobertsCoaching.com / Mintwave-radio. If you want to listen in live to any of our programs, you'll be able to also see the schedule, what's coming this week. And if this is via podcast, it's not just my podcast, but if you go again, KarenRobertsCoaching.com / podcast-network, you'll be able to see podcasts from other coaches and therapists that are on the network. You can download the app for Apple and Android, and feel free to subscribe to any that take your fancy, follow, or even leave a comment. So today's show is episode 133. And today we have Tony Piper, and he is a certified clarity coach and certified genius catalyst. Oh, he'll tell you more. And we're going to be talking about well-being from the inside out. My name's Karen Roberts. Karen Roberts, get the name right. And we provide a platform for coaches to get their message heard to the people who need it through the radio. So if you're looking to host your own show, then please get in touch. Or if you're looking to start a podcast, then get in touch. So Tony, thank you so much for taking time out of your day today to come and speak to us. So before we start, if you could share with the audience a little bit of your story, please. How did you come to be doing what you're doing now?
Hey, Karen, lovely to be here. And I've got my cup of, I don't know if this is the right way around, but it's,
yeah.
Do you see that?
Yeah. You got your coffee?
I've got a cup of positivity.
Ah, fantastic.
So where to begin? So most of my career was working in technology as a leader. And early on in my career, I was told by my boss at the time, and I'm sure it was very well-meaning, but he said, "You'll never be a people person." And there was something about that struck me as, once I got past the wound, I saw it as a challenge. And I was very curious about that. And I started going on a self-development journey. And I remember going on this leadership course, and it was called Organizational Politics and IT Management. And It was basically street smarts for geeks. And it was incredible. It really did impact me quite deeply. And I was really curious about how that happened, because about a year later, I went on another leadership course that was ostensibly talking about the same thing, but it didn't land for me. It was a bit like, have you ever seen the film Dead Poets Society?
I haven't. I know I should have. Very famous. I've never watched it, no.
Well, it's one of my favorite films, and the main character, who's played by Robin Williams, is a teacher at a prep school. And it's his first day, and it's a class of boys, and they have this textbook that's talking about poetry. And the book is very, very stuffy. And it talks about measuring the greatness of a poem on 2 axes. And I can't remember what the axes were, but a very sort of left brain approach. And Mr. Keating, Robin Williams' character, urges the boys to rip that page out, and then discovers there's a whole load of other pages. And this other leadership course felt a bit like the one that was described in the book. It felt very sort of left brain, very analytical,
Stuffy.
very rational, stuffy, dare I say boring. It was for me. So I was very curious about that. And I went back to the people who taught the first course, and I said, what was going on? Because you were talking about the same thing. And they said, we don't normally talk about this. So I leaned in. I said, we talk about it. And they said, well, we taught this using a thing called NLP. And this was about 1997. And this is pretty much before the internet. And I became very curious about this because it had such a transformative impact on me. So a few weeks later in the Sunday Times, remember when the Sunday Times used to be like several inches thick and it would last all week, I found a tiny little ad advertising an NLP training with a guy called Richard Bandler, Paul McKenna and Michael Breen. And I signed up for it, and it was 10 days of life-changing mayhem, really. And that really got me interested in how we work as people. And I carried on doing my leadership role and applying it there. But eventually I got to a point where I was realized that all the problems that me and my team were trying to solve were not so much technical ones as people ones. Did people know what they want? Did they know how to communicate that? Did they know how to check understanding? Did they know how to push back? Did they know how to make difficult decisions? Did they know how to prioritize? Do they have all this kind of stuff that you do when you're working with children and animals and software? Those things didn't come so easily. And so I thought, well, how can I be of better service? Because, after this is about 20 years in, I thought, I want to do something different. And so I started exploring the world of coaching. And yeah, long story short, here I am. And I'm mostly working with leaders in tech roles or tech startups. That's who my tribe mostly are. And I get to work with them to help them be the leaders they need to be and create what they want to create.
Right. And so for you, now some people would have just taken offense to that original comment, but it's interesting that you used the word curious. So you got curious about that. And this is where so many people, they're missing so much, because something that's said to them that might not resonate with them, they might not like, quite often the reaction would be to take offense to it and maybe get defensive, right? But instead, you chose to be curious, which then led you into this. Was that something that you'd learnt, or was that just your natural reaction, your natural sort of to that kind of trigger? Because that's very forward thinking, and many people may have taken offence to a small comment like that.
Well, and I think I did too, but I realized it wasn't going to serve me very well. And, the Dalai Lama and Buddhism in general, and I'm not a Buddhist, but, so many of these spiritual teachings just make total sense. It talks about, if you've just been shot with an arrow, don't get injured by the second arrow, which is the thing that you do. The story that you
Yep.
tell, the experience that you create. And the words we use for ourselves and with others can make a massive difference to our experience of life.
Yeah.
If you
Well,
label
it's
something,
massive. It's massive, but it's quite often all these things can stem from childhood, because it's a learnt reaction, and then they bring it into adulthood. So I just find it. I mean, do you think you learned these things because of your training through the NLP, or had you already got to that stage already?
I think over the years I've seen more stuff for myself. I think at that, and it's interesting what you say about most of my work now is actually helping people get back in touch with who they really are, which is probably more like when they were a child than as they are now. And one of the lovely things that children can show us is just how transient moods and stuff can be. I remember as a kid falling over and grazing my knee and having a good grizzle, and then after a kiss or a dab of TCP, I was back on my way again. And I
Yep.
think in later life we tend to sort of like let it hang around.
Far too much. Far too much. I mean, it is. It's easy when when if you have children, if you have young children, the easiest things is to distract. They start crying, just distract them,
Yeah.
because it stops instantly. And yet we've learned, or some people have learned as we've got older, to hold on to it, to wallow in it, to overthink it, and then really take offence to something that somebody that might not have any connection, in no emotional attachment to, and allow these negative things to affect their lives, and in the workplace, so many people would So if their boss or the manager of or the line manager or whatever has said something that's not necessarily that positive, some people can take things so personally, and it doesn't help. So for you, it actually made you, like you say, leaned in and wanted to know more and wanted to explore this. And it's funny that you say that it could be exactly the same content, so the same thing you're learning, but the way it was presented in two different ways. And look, I get it. Some people might like the way it's stuffy. We've all got different personality traits, and some people um, want the what we may call stuffiness of a presentation. They might not want all the stats and all very, for me that would be very boring. But this is why there are so many things out there, and there isn't just one way, because it suits different personality types and different people, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I think that speaks to one of the fundamental truths, which is about separate realities. We all perceive the world, we all experience the world in a different way. And recognizing that and remembering it when somebody does something that doesn't make sense is pretty helpful. And
Mm.
we get so you mentioned it, we get conditioned, we get encouraged almost to overthink. And back in the medieval times, they had a distinction for this. And one was the concept of ratio, which is as in rational, which is this kind of, intellectual struggle to work stuff out. Or I shouldn't have used the word intellectual. I just did. This sort of very heady way of working stuff out through thinking. And the other is intellectus, which is that wisdom that is all built into us and it's shared, right? There are so many things that you and I and the listeners know that we were never taught. And the trouble is, when we're up in our head, you can't access that stuff. And you think about an acorn. I mean, it doesn't go to oak school,
Yeah.
as best as I can tell.
Yeah.
There's no sort of like
Haven't
mother and
seen him sat with a book studying how they're going to grow.
yeah, and there's no kind of sort of like mother oak saying, now all you need to do is this, and you'll be a fine oak too. It's just if it's in the right environment, it will happen.
Mhm. But
And
that's been we've unlearned that, haven't we? Because the focus throughout schooling has all been up here, the intellect, the ego mind. We've got to learn numbers and remember facts and dates, and although these days I think things are going to start to change, because what with Chat GPT coming out, and it can pass
right,
it can get a degree in anything pretty much. I feel sorry for the teachers over the next few years, because all the students are going to be doing A+ every single time with their homework, because we don't need to hold on to this just remembering information. And so maybe this is really a good thing, because then people can go inside and go within and be more creative, which I feel that that's almost been, for certain people, not everybody, but for a lot of people, the standard is all up here. So creativity has been sort of squished out of it, or perceived, again, how, certain people see the world, perceived to be an unimportant part of things. But we know that you need creativity in all areas, even in the tech, right? And people
yeah.
would think maybe tech and is not going to be, of course it's going to be creative. You've got to come up with the ideas to then do the things. So maybe things are on the turn, do you think?
Well, I sincerely hope so. And you just made such an important point that actually we're always creating. All those stories that we tell ourselves about, what you do when the boss says you're not a people person. That's creative.
You're right, actually. Yeah, we're more creative.
We're,
Maybe that's
we're,
what we're over.
we're doing it all the time. So the question is, if we're doing it all the time, what would you like to create? And creativity is not about being able to paint nicely or be able to sing nicely. It's about the fact that everything that exists around us that's being created by human beings has been created by thought. Everything. And our experience of the world is being creative, because we talked about separate realities. And thinking about I saw a fascinating video the other day that's like one of those MRI scans, and it's showing a it sounds a bit gross, but it's showing the cross section of a head with the eyes moving around, right? And it sounds freaky. But what it shows is that actually the retina is actually a part of the brain matter,
Yeah,
right? So it's more thinking of eyes more as projectors than cameras.
yeah. It's just the lens, isn't it? So we see with our brain.
Yes.
And like you
Yeah.
say, separate realities, we could two people looking in the same direction, they're seeing different things. One person's looking, taking in, because it's our bodies, in a way, I mean, they're phenomenal things, right? But they want to save energy. So we can get complacent and we can get lazy, because it will only then you're only going to be picking up on things that have already been lodged as in somehow important,
Mm.
or to you, which is why, yeah, that person saw the birds in the trees and that person saw something else, but they was looking at the same thing, because we'll only pick up, I suppose, the things that resonate with us. Like, when you're pregnant, all you see is babies everywhere, or
Yeah.
prams, or you buy
Well,
a red car and all of a sudden that's all you seem to see.
yeah.
But it was there all the time. So yes, it's such a fascinating subject that, yeah, this is why everybody is could be living in the same town. They're all having completely different experiences,
Yeah.
and all down to our perception, how we view our world. But as you said, it is, and I hadn't thought of it like that before. Yes, we're creating daily, and many are, yeah, using this sort of skill set as a default setting, but in the negative, because they
Yeah.
tend to be wasting a lot of energy creating stories of an imagined future, stressing and worrying about something that hasn't happened yet. And I get it. When you're in it, obviously it's a lot more difficult to maybe, number one, be aware of that you're doing it, because many aren't. But when you can step back and look at that, I mean, I never really got the. I probably worry maybe not enough sometimes, because I won't allow it
Are you
to
worried that
affect.
you
'Cause I
don't
think,
worry?
yeah, I know, that's a crazy thought, isn't it? It's like, well, maybe there's some things I might have. Because you just think, well, what a waste of time. What will be, will be. I'm not going to, I'll deal with it at the time.
Mm.
But it's just such a learnt thing. And, I suppose the stresses of today of sort of people sort of losing and forgetting it, that this is actually what they're doing, and that they have the power to change. So when
Well,
you talk about, I mean, well-being from the inside out, I mean,
mm.
so this is where it's the start point. But if somebody's listening and they're like, what do you mean well-being from inside out? How would you explain that?
Well, I like this idea of what people like Jamie Smart have called subtractive psychology, which is that actually within us, we already have peace. Within us, we already have confidence. Within us, we already have joy. And to what extent do we take ourselves away from that? By worrying, for example. And for me, that's a game changer, because it's not about finding peace, it's about protecting
Mm.
it, right?
Well, everybody's looking for it out there,
Yeah.
because again, they've forgotten That's your default setting. You're mucking it all up.
Yeah.
Which and not through, so for anybody,
And we all do
not
it.
not consciously. Yeah, we all do it, and it's
Yeah.
not a conscious thing. It's not, doesn't make you a bad person. It just means we're self-sabotage. It's like a form of self-harm, and if we're not aware of it, you're going to continue doing it. So it's all about creating awareness that actually this is really empowering, because you can't control out there. We've known that, haven't we, for the last 3 years? There's nothing we can do to control the out there, but what we can start to practice, because yes, it's not going to happen overnight, is it? That mindset doesn't just, oh,
Well,
I'm confident, I'm
the funny thing is, it's one of those things that suddenly flips. So you'll spend a lot of time as you start to explore this stuff for yourself. A lot of time, like, think, how can this be true? And then all of a sudden it flips, because you'll have an experience where maybe you didn't react the way that you would have reacted. Maybe you felt unreasonably peaceful at a time, where by all rights you should have been pretty miserable. And noticing, for me, the most important thing is noticing the variation in our experience, right? Even if it seems like it's always stressful or anxiety or anything like that, it's actually noticing that, within a time period of that, like I had a frustrating day, say, there will be moments when it wasn't that, even when nothing changed on the outside.
Mm.
Now,
But
what we've
isn't that always the case? Isn't that always the case? You can wake up the following day and feel fine. You think, well, nothing has changed from yesterday to today. And I suppose that's, so what I'm hearing from you there is you've got to experience it yourself to know. Right. The proof is in the pudding, right? It's
yeah,
in the practicing these things and being aware that, oh wow, actually yesterday, yes, I dealt with this in this way, or I've just come from this situation, and yeah, I'm not, don't feel bad about it, and so it's just learning, but it's going to take time, isn't
yeah, it will. And the trouble is that the more you think about this is taking too long,
it? You're pushing it away.
yeah, that's the thing. So it's a kind of sort of waiting patiently
Mm.
while it unfolds. But in a lot of my work, I'll be working with somebody who's like really upset or frustrated or anything else, and 55 minutes later they could be laughing. There's a danger of that with coaching, and and as well as enjoying that, I try and remember to point out the fact that nothing has changed on the outside, and yet you're having a different experience of it. So how could that be? If the feeling was coming from your boss or an email or a spouse or politics, or you know how could it be that you have a different experience if nothing has changed?
Mm. So
And
the power is within.
yeah, and the power is a simple one of noticing how you are at any minute, noticing how it changes.
But that you make you. I mean, you can tell even by you speaking. You're very calm. You can always feel it. You give out this total aura of calmness. The problem is because it is that simple. It is that simple. However, many people really is just struggle with this whole being aware, like conscious.
Yeah,
We are doing, especially if you have, you're going to one particular place of work every single day, you've got your routine. So much of their day is on autopilot. So how would you encourage people to sort of almost check in with themselves to be, I am, this is, thinking about it, being aware? What sort of tips would you give to people to do that, because otherwise they're just going to carry on their day as they did yesterday and the last 10 years
Yeah.
or whatever.
So there's a metaphor that I love for this, and I first heard it via Jamie Smart, I think. And do you drive?
I do,
You've driven on a motorway,
many times.
and so between the first lane, which is of course where we're supposed to drive when we're not overtaking, and the hard shoulder,
Hmm.
what is there? What is there between those two
What
lanes?
line?
A white line. Have you ever driven on it?
Hmm.
It's
I would
okay. No,
think not.
we won't tell anybody if you have.
Yeah, you're not gonna. No, it's funny. You stay within the lines, don't you? Because that's your
Well,
focus.
yeah. Now, if you have accidentally found, or maybe you heard of somebody who did this,
I'm
um,
sure you have. You will have at some points, but in general,
yeah. Now, what most people don't realize until they do it is that actually the line is textured, and
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
yeah,
have then. Yeah, I know
yeah,
that. I know,
yeah.
yeah,
So yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah,
Me
yeah,
too.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
It was a long time ago. Don't tell anybody.
yeah. Yes.
And the car starts doing this, right?
Yeah.
Now, what do you do when that happens in a hypothetical situation? Of course, what
Well,
would
you
you do?
reset. It's a
Yeah,
reminder. It's a gentle, or no, an aggressive reminder to get back in your lane.
yeah. And how do you do that?
Change direction.
Yeah, just kind of twitch the wheel, and before you know it, you'll be back on the right
Yeah.
the right path. Okay. Now, what don't you do in that situation?
Panic.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything
And you
else?
don't stay there.
Don't stay there. And do you park the car and get out and have a good look at it? And it's like, who the hell put that there? Or I'm such a lousy driver for having gone on there. I'll never forgive myself. What if the
Yeah.
CCTV saw me? And do you do that?
No.
Right. Do you keep driving and go up the bank or down the ditch?
No.
No. You twitch the wheel and you get back on the carriageway.
Mm.
Now,
And yet we don't do that, do we?
all of those, in a way, and this is just a concept that I found helpful for myself. What would happen if all of those feelings of frustration, angry, tired, stressed, anxious, misery, and all the rest of it, what if they were just rumble strips? What if the only job was to get your attention to say, don't keep going this way?
Mm. We all need to be a little bit kinder to ourselves. It sounds.
Well, if it
Give
was just a
yourself
rumble
a
strip,
break.
if it was just a rumble strip, and you don't need to get into the story of the rumble strip, you don't need to explore it from different angles. And it's like, the reality is that when we're upset, we're not going to see clearly. We're going to see the world as we are, not as it is, because that's actually what we're doing all the time. So it doesn't serve us to spend any time hanging around in those
Mm.
lousy feelings. The reason they feel lousy is to remind us to not do them. If being angry felt great, and okay, for some people maybe the surge and stuff, for a moment feels great, but if going around looking at life through angry eyes, um, if that felt great, yeah, sure, we'd have a good reason to do it, but it's
Mm.
designed that it doesn't, to say back off.
Mm.
And therefore the act of noticing and beginning to sort of have a different experience is this, not get into, because some people would say, well, oh, maybe I could start a journal and I could start writing about right. To me, there's a risk with that you can
Yeah,
start, getting into, you're writing the story, literally writing the
I
story,
agree.
and
I
then you're going
totally
deeper
agree.
into the story, and it's like, before you know it, you've written pages of how life sucks.
And
Now,
that's what I think, see, about the whole, and I'm not, again, horses for courses, but my personal perception of all the danger with, it feels like there's sort of a movement almost, and which has come from a good place because people are looking at their mental health. However, it's almost like we're going too far in one direction and they're staying focused on that story. And it's like, yes, be aware
Lasting,
and okay, where it's come from. But now I love it. I love what you're saying. I totally agree with that. And I'm sure there'll be some that will disagree, but this is just, yep, take
yeah, I
from
mean,
it what you will.
do what works for you. But for me, not getting into the
Absolutely.
story I'm telling myself and telling me stories about
Absolutely.
the stories is the thing that
It
will help
it
me.
holds you there. It just doesn't never made sense to me. It's like, y okay, once you're aware of what the trigger was or whatever it was in your past that has okay, that's fine, but why keep going back there and reliving it, bringing it into the present moment again? Surely that isn't serving you.
Well, I don't know that I've met anybody who would turn around and say, I wish I'd worried about this a bit more.
Well, I just did then. I went, maybe I should
You know,
maybe sometimes I might.
I wish whatever.
Nah,
Yeah,
nah, doesn't
nah.
work.
Well, and all I would say is that, do the thing that if expressing the story and really seeing it out on paper is the thing that helps you understand it or let go of it, great. For me, it doesn't
Mhm.
work. For me, it
Mm.
doesn't work. For me, the simpler thing to notice is, am I on the rumble strip or not?
Mm.
And if I am, what can I do to get off it? Right?
Yeah, because the
It
past is done. Focus on the
well,
now, how you feel now and how you're gonna feel in the future. Practice that one.
yeah. Is it easier for you to tell whether there's the first few spots of rain or not, or whether it's gone from tipping it down to monsoon?
I never even know do you know, I don't even notice I don't and I know you even have it on your phone, and I never even bother checking the weather. It's like, if it's gonna rain, it's gonna rain. I still don't have an umbrella, but I'm not gonna prepare for it either. What will be, will be. If I
Well,
get caught out, and I have, so again, maybe it would have served me to worry about it before, but nah.
but as a guess, which would you find easier to tell? Difference between dry and the first spots, or heavy
Yeah.
and monsoon?
Yeah, well, yeah. The first spots maybe. I don't really
Yeah.
know. I mean, yeah. Does it
My
matter? If it's raining, it's raining. Raining to monsoon, does it really matter?
Well, to my mind, it's easier for me to notice.
You're going
But
to notice the first bits.
here's the thing. You're noticing the comparison of where you're at and then where it changes to, right?
Mm.
If you're mostly hanging around in dry weather, you'll notice the first
Yes.
few
Yeah.
spots of rain, right?
Yeah.
If you're
Yeah.
mostly hanging around in like a really wet place,
Yeah. It's
you're
not
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 going to
going to be.
notice as
Nah.
much.
It's already. It's
Yeah.
already there.
So the more you hang out in a place that's dry, the more sensitive you're going to be to how it's raining,
Mm.
right? And the more you hang out in a place of well-being, of not being on the rumble strips, the more easily you'll notice when you're about to get onto them, right?
Mm.
I'm not saying I don't go on the rumble strips. I'm not saying that
Mm.
at all. What I'm saying is that I've got
You
better
don't
at
stay there.
noticing. I've got better at noticing when I'm on them, and I've got
Yeah.
better at therefore at getting off them. Because again, once you're well over on the rumble strip, I mean, you could even get used to driving like this, right?
Yeah.
And you might even reframe it as fun because this is how
there's,
life
there's a pa-
is.
there's a part on the M25, and that's why I don't like it, because it goes from tarmac and it feels like you're on that the whole time. There's sort of a bit between sort of Gatwick and Heathrow and it is bump, 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 and it's really uncomfortable. Who wants to stay there? Who wants to stay there?
Yeah,
It's not a
so,
nice feeling.
so the strategy is not to get good, driving on the rumble strip. It's not to buy a car with better suspension, or to have less or more air in your tires, whichever way that would be, or to, you know, have a special cushion that makes it easier to drive in those circuits. It's not about that. It's about getting back to the place where you wouldn't need any of that.
Yeah,
Most of the
love
stuff
it.
that people come to coaching for is to deal with, making life better while you're on the rumble strips.
Mm. And so with you, so your help, you're dealing more with people in leadership roles with IT. Is that because
Mm.
maybe it's is it a particularly stressful job? Is that why? What
Well,
is that
some of
why
that was
you're
just because that was my background.
Oh,
So
okay.
I've got a lot of affinity with people with those
Okay.
skills and those backgrounds. But also, yeah, there's a lot of unpredictability. Depending on the type of thing you're working on, there's a lot of perceived downside if something goes wrong, whether that's on a technical basis or, budget or timescale. Because
Mm-hmm.
it's unpredictable, all sorts of stuff can happen. And yet, particularly creating software, I mean, that's a creative act. And we're not at our best when we're trying to create while we're on the rumble strips. You
No.
said mixing the metaphors slightly, but that's not when we're going to do our best work. And so the more easily we can get back to the natural place we need to be, which is just on being calm, grounded, all that kind of thing, the better our creativity is going to be, the better our problem solving is going to be.
Mm.
Because of this what I called intellectus, this wisdom, this thing that we already know how to respond in a situation, right? But if we're running around, don't panic, Captain Mannering, you know, we can't access that. We can't
So the
access
thing
that.
is to go within, because yeah, you're right. When you're, and so many people think that they've just got to push through. If they're under pressure, they're stressed. They, but this is why all the top people say, you've got to go and sleep on it. Why? It's because you're going to naturally, when you go to sleep, all that goes. So hopefully, if you haven't got straight into the story as soon as you've woken up, you sleep on it, wake up, and funnily enough,
There you
you
are
have
in the
your
shower,
aha.
and
Yeah,
bingo, yeah.
it's just
But
like that.
what do you make of
You
the
can
fact
do
that
that
you can have these massive insights when you're in the shower, not
when
thinking
you
about
want.
stuff,
Yeah,
right? It
there you
doesn't
go. So
come.
it's actually do less to do more.
Yeah, yeah. Which
Whereas
is
we think we've got to do, but we need to find a way to balance it out with, I call it I say I'm practicing my unthinking.
yeah, I love that. Yeah.
Practicing my unthinking. Because,
But
well, as you can
yeah,
see, I can talk a lot. So it's Karen, shush verbally, shush mentally. That's my time. And that's when all my best ideas have come up from, definitely. And I would have always said I'm not creative. I, I
look
am
what
creative.
look what you've created.
Yes. But it came from after periods of unthinking.
Yeah. Now this has massive implications for leadership, because as leaders, how we are is often how everybody else is going to end up. Right? If we are panicking, the chances are other people will start panicking.
Mm.
If we are panicking, we're going to behave in a way. A lot of the dysfunctions of leadership, things like micromanagement, blame culture, lack of empathy, self-entitlement, lack of support, unrealistic expectations, they're all rooted in being a long way away from well-being.
Mm.
Right? So, and yet, so many of the interventions that are available and are around, um, how to not be so much of a micromanager, rather than how to be a certain way where micromanaging just wouldn't make sense and it wouldn't be necessary.
So again,
Right?
they're focusing on the negative, focusing on the problem, rather than focusing on the actual solution.
Yeah.
Again, where is that all coming from? Why are people going straight for that? I suppose that, and again, like, yeah, are you ever going to find a solution if you're focusing just on the problem? You've got to turn your attention away from that.
Well,
Look up for a moment.
no amount of free bananas and yoga sessions is going to fix that. It's that's that's
Nah, yeah, I think you're right there.
you know. Let's talk about prevention rather than cure. And
Mm.
if we are in a good place as leaders, if you happen to, whether that's a leader in a workplace or a community or a family or as a parent, as a whatever it might be, if we're in a good place, first of all, we're going to have much better ideas about what we need to do in a situation when stuff happens, as stuff will. Secondly, we're going to positively impact other people who are going to be able to have their own access, their own wisdom, and all the rest of it. If we are an unhelpful state, that's going to have so many implications. So many implications. And then you're spending a lot of effort trying to fix that. The reason that you need yoga is actually to calm down after being so wound up by the fact that somebody was micromanaging you all day.
Yeah, they're all different tools, but actually, you can simplify it.
Yeah, yeah,
It can all be simplified because all these different modalities, the end result is the same. That's what they're all aiming for. And they're trying different things, whether that is through exercise or yoga or meditation, mindfulness, whatever works. But actually, you could do it yourself. You don't even have to go anywhere. Mind you,
yeah.
it's still
No,
going to
that's.
be fun from the
I
doing it.
mean, I enjoy bananas and yoga, but they're not. They don't have to be. They don't have to be only deployed in service of fixing something that's broken.
And we're not broken. We just think we
Yeah,
are.
yeah. Very, very true. So yeah.
So, with regards to what you're offering, so people that are in the IT industry,
Mhm.
if anybody's listening and think, oh, yeah, I do have a very stressful job and I'm not, maybe dealing with things and right, maybe I should look at this. How would they find you?
Oh, they would find me at tonypiper.coach. That's my website. Or Tony Piper Coach on Twitter. Um, LinkedIn, I'm Tony Piper Coach. I think
There's
Tony
a
Piper in the
button,
UK. There'll be a link
funnily enough.
somewhere down here.
Oh,
So my name
it's,
is Tony, last name is Piper, and I'm a coach.
There you go.
So yeah, that's how you
Well,
find me.
and how do you work with people? So what is your process? Is it one to one? Do you do group? Is it for a month, 6 months, year? How do you work?
Generally, I will work with people for a few months, and that can either be one to one or as part of a group cohort. That could be a group of colleagues or it could be a group of strangers. Generally, I prefer to start as upstream as I can, and by that I mean, with as senior person as I can. Because what we talked about, like how we are is going to affect how other people are around us.
Mm.
Well, so there are things that if you're fairly senior in an organization, you can have a lot more impact by sorting yourself out. So
Mm.
if and likewise, if a leader comes and asks me to work with one of their team, generally I will get curious about the leader and explore, what what is it they what is their involvement in whatever's going on for the person they want me to coach. So
And what have you seen some of the outcomes of working with companies? How does that sort of play out moving forward?
well, once you've spent enough time not on the rumble strips, life goes a lot better,
Hmm.
and you can begin to, a lot of the things that would get in the way of you enjoying your life sort of seem to fall away. And that plays out in relationships, at home and at work, the work you do, productivity, quality, all that kind of stuff. You know, when you're coming at life from an inside out understanding, then it just seems to go a lot better.
Mm, absolutely. It sounds very much like the three principles.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you want to find out more and not talk to me, then you can look up people like Jamie Smart. He's one of my coaches. Michael Neal. He's one of my coaches as well.
Okay. Oh, okay. Oh, I wasn't right. I wasn't aware. Okay.
Yeah.
No, I love it. Love.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. From a Scottish welder is
A
wise
Scottish brother.
teachings from a Scottish welder. Who knew?
Who knew? Well, here's the thing: we all knew, but he was the one who
Yes. And
realised
we
that
all
we all knew.
know. We all know, but it's been covered up, hasn't it? We've and we do. It's just this sort of pattern of building on, building on, building on. And actually, you could take off, take off, take off, take off. Simplify, simplify.
Yeah.
And I suppose this is it, isn't it? Again, all these teachings, like you mentioned, Buddhism, a lot of them are very, very similar. But they're just saying things in different ways. And you don't have to use all those tools. That was just their interpretation of how to get to that point. But actually, yeah, you could just do it yourself. Just
Yeah,
do it yourself.
they're all pointing to the same thing.
Yes.
They're all pointing
Yes.
to the same thing. So choose the one that feels that
Yeah.
feels most aligned with you.
And it's so funny because I used to think, yeah, but I've got to do this. I've got to, then I've got to sit and meditate. I've got to spend time doing this. And again, I suppose it's come back from our conditioning of we live in such a, obviously it's a physical world, but we've got action. It's just so action orientated. We've got to do. And
Be.
yeah.
You know.
And it's when you actually, like I say, when I'm practicing while I'm thinking, basically I'm practicing being, just simply being. But there's, in so much, and probably more so in the corporate arena, because they've got spreadsheets and KPIs to do, like that, and it's all do. So the idea for some can be difficult to get because there can be all sorts of feelings of guilt or shame that you're even taking time out, even though it's going to help you be more productive. But because we live in this, doing
Rumble strips on
driven.
rumble strips.
Yeah. So you've got to go through it. Go through
Yeah.
it faster.
Clench. Right.
And it's like, so how do you explain to the leaders to get them to see that actually the opposite is true? If you sort of encourage people to actually take time out to just, they'll actually be more productive further down the road. You're going to actually get more out of your staff. They're going to come up with more creative ideas from this place of peace. How do you, for somebody who's not heard of this, to them, they're going to be like, what? No, I want my people at their desk at 7 and they're not leaving until they've done this. And it's have you found that it's a slightly challenging thing in the beginning to get people to sort of get this?
Yeah, because it was challenging for me to get it. But there's some questions that generally I ask now at the beginning of when I've met somebody or getting to work together. And the first one, have we got time for this? Take about 5 minutes.
Yeah. Still got 10 minutes. You're right.
So the first one is, when was the last time you felt the way you wish you could feel all the time? When was the last time you felt the way that you wish you could feel all the time? And can you describe that feeling? Yeah, you're already there, right? Some people might say, "Oh yeah, I was about 6 and I was riding my bike and it was a sunny day and I had an ice cream and I was free and everything was effortless and I felt safe and loved." And people will generally have an experience Well, people always have an experience. It might take a bit of reflecting, but and yeah. So when was the last time, and what was the feeling? And describe it. Now, so yeah, people will come up a list of stuff that I've just talked about. So I felt content, I felt loved, I felt empathetic, I felt creative, I felt playful. I talk about that, right? When you're that way, when you're in that feeling, how does life tend to look?
Mm.
Next question. When you're in that feeling, how are you with other people? Finally, when you're in that feeling, how do you handle situations that are not going your way?
Mm.
So that's kind of the left-hand column. Right? So when you're not in that feeling, how does life tend to look?
Very different.
Right. Yeah. Describe it. When you're not in that feeling, how are you with other people?
Mm.
Right. When you're not in that feeling, how do you handle situations that are not going your way? And most people, that list, which we'll put on the right-hand column if you imagine, um, it's not a great, it's not a great
No.
list. Now, here's the thing. Most people come to coaching for stuff in the right-hand column about how to deal with life when you're not in that feeling. But that feeling that people describe, that's their natural selves. That's who they were born to be. When they're not in that feeling, that's just normal. That's just
Mm.
habitual. That's just how we end up being, right? But you can always get back to natural. And this is what we've been talking about this whole conversation. And I have yet to ask those questions of anybody where they've not seen that, oh, yeah, I already know how to be natural, but I lost sight of it. And I already know that when I'm natural, I don't need to worry because I know I can handle stuff. Everybody says, oh, when I'm in that feeling, I just handle situations easily,
Mm.
right? Well, then the question is, how can you hang out more in that feeling of being natural, right? But if anybody's doing this and they're listening and playing along as it were, those questions could be the thing that unlock it for you.
Great questions. And that is just, again, going back to the proof in the pudding. So that's not telling somebody, this is what you need to do X, Y, Z. It's just asking the right questions for them to go, ah,
Yeah.
oh yeah. And you'll only know the truth when you, ask yourself those questions because you know the truth.
Yeah. Yeah. For you, it'll be a different feeling, different situation. You don't have to
Yeah,
be on a bike
but
with an ice
it's
cream, and it's
no,
not that, right? This is not, I'm not going to sell you the ice cream method to sort of a life
no,
of peace and joy. It's not that.
no. But we
That
all want the same thing. We're all looking for the same thing. It just plays out differently in because of your different loves and passions, and but it's all the same feeling.
Yeah, and Sydney Banks, who was the Scottish welder who discovered
Yeah.
this, he would say that, when we're looking for stuff like peace and joy and love, all we're looking for is to find our way home.
And we're there. We can find it if we look.
Yeah, you're already
We're
there.
already there. We're already there. It's our default setting. We just get busy being busy and cover it up with all sorts of excuses and rubbish and stories. Love it. Love it. Fascinating conversation. Thank you. That's why.
Thank
Now
you.
I figure it out. Now I'm like, that's why. Because you could just hearing your voice, the way you explain things, the way you talk. Yes, you remind me of I have another friend who's a free print schools, and it is so it's all about your being, and it's just like you say, just pointing people in the direction of, this is how you can be too.
Yeah.
When you start going inwards. Oh, it's so much, I'm like, oh yeah, I've been getting it wrong for so long. And the self-development arena is always, again, everything's pointing out, really. And actually it's so much simpler. So much simpler. You can have peace, joy at any moment of any day, whenever you want it. But it still takes practice, because our default, when I say your default setting, the false default setting that you've learned,
the thing I call normal, pattern, when you're not in
the normal, right?
That's why I call it
It's
normal.
easy to go back into that, so that you just need little reminders throughout the day to be like, oh, yeah.
But as soon as once you get good at spotting the rumble strips,
the rumble strips, love that.
You won't spend much time on
Stay off the rumble strip. Excellent. Thank you so much for your time today. Love it. And yes, now I'm very familiar with these teachings. And so anybody out there, please get in touch. It's a lot easier than you think it is. It still takes practice.
It's easier than you think it is.
Yeah. Very good. Awesome. Thank you for your time. To everybody else, I will be back tomorrow with a Coffee with Karen. Bye for now.
Coffee with Karen podcast, a weekly chat show discussing everything from holistic health to current affairs from a mental, physical and spiritual perspective. Get your weekly cup of positivity with a sprinkling of woo-woo.